Fox in his 10th season as the Bulldogs head coach, 6th season as the Bulldogs head coach, 11th overall, 208 victories. And Steve Peichel, head coach of the Stony Brook Seawolves. Georgia home white, Stony Brook road red. And Frazier brings it across for Georgia. Thornton facing the basket, spinning, lost the pass, lost the shot. Stony Brook comes up the floor with it.
That's exactly where you want Thornton to catch that ball, higher off the post if you're Stony Brook. Make him take a couple dribbles to get to the basket.
There's Warney working against Thornton, double team. Passes out of it. Warney, first shot for the Seawolves. Rebound controlled by Stony Brook. Shot up and in. First basket from Rayshawn McGrew, who hit the game winner against Columbia in their 57-56 victory on Friday night.
He was the hero. He was all-conference player of the week and coming off a high note.
Mann on the drive, and that'll be an offensive foul on Charles Mann.
Great play there defensively by Cameron Mitchell, getting in front of Charles Mann. That's all scouting. They want to be able to drive to the basket. Coach Peichel has already taught his team, look, they're going to try to shove it down our throats. Let's stand in front of them and take that blow.
They know that Charles Mann's game is driving, penetrating, got to the free throw line 8 times a game a year ago. Inside Warney with the left hand.
That's what can't happen if you're Mark Fox. He told us that in the pregame. If Warney gets that ball down low, they are done, and that's exactly what happened.
Kenny Gaines already up off the bench for Georgia and at the scorer's table. Frazier on the drive, goes in against Warney, and Warney picks up the foul, and that's exactly what Georgia wants. They want to get Warney in foul trouble and out of the game.
Great drive there by Frazier, who's a lefty. You got to know he's going to his left. That's his strong hand, and he got in there. Frazier played a great game the other day versus Georgia Tech, one of the few bright spots for the Bulldogs. He had a career high in points, assists, and steals, and did a great job despite the loss.
Second career start for Frazier tonight in place of Kenny Gaines. Gaines going to come out, and Mann will go to the bench.
It was interesting in talking with the coaching staff. Now that Kenny Gaines comes into the game, you'll see this lineup a lot. It wasn't so much Frazier that was being replaced by Gaines as it was Parker. So once Gaines gets healthy, look for Parker to be coming off the bench, and this to be your traditional starting lineup for the Bulldogs.
So Frazier gives Georgia their first 2 points of the night. Again, Gaines has been sick for most of the last month. Missed 3 weeks of preseason practice and not near 100%. Three-pointer. Roland Niyama. 5-point lead for the Seawolves.
Coach Peichel and his staff coach him up over there defensively. They were going through this same play, set and walk through today, and they're defending it well when it came to game time.
Frazier with 5 on the clock, buries the three-pointer. All 5 points for the Bulldogs from the little J.J. Frazier. 2-point game.
Heck of a shot, but if you're Coach Peichel, you're happy with that defensive effort.
And Trey Puriefoy, Carson Trey Puriefoy, as they call him, hits the three-pointer as an answer. Jurisic misses the hook. Warney the clear and rebound.
Not really his specialty. He's more of a pick and pop perimeter threat as a big man as opposed to the post-up guy.
Puriefoy again.
Hand down, man down, like Jeff Van Gundy says. You better come out and close out with a hand up if you're J.J. Frazier.
Trey Puriefoy, preseason first-team All-America East, averaged just under 13 points a game a year ago, had a 24-point game against Indiana. And the Seawolves have started this game, Dane, by hitting 5 of their first 6 shots.
And that last play just now is not going to be seen in the stat book. That was a hard cut by the Georgia player, and it first forced Warney to help out and drew a foul on Warney, a cheap one. And that could come back to haunt Stony Brook, because if anybody needs to stay out of foul trouble, it's Warney.
Petrus and King in the ball game for Stony Brook, so they get some more size on the floor. Petrus, a 6'11 freshman from Slovakia.
This is a guy that I think can bother Thornton with his height.
Gaines launching the three, and he buries it. So
Gaines starting to get his legs back.
Yeah, and they said that was the big problem against Georgia Tech. Fatigue, just out of rhythm, had no timing, and that's going to come with missing so much practice time. Puriefoy on the drive, draws the foul, and one.
J.J. Frazier's not used to going up against guys that are as quick, if not quicker than him, and Puriefoy is one of those guys. Watch this off the dribble. Oh, goes for the up fake. Get a little and one mixtape on Frazier there. He better learn to stay down and defend the guy, stay in front of him. Look at the belly. Don't look at the ball or the head.
7-point lead for Stony Brook. Puriefoy with 8 of the Seawolves' first 15 points.
What a terrific start for Stony Brook, getting in early and getting some confidence as well as a big lead. The Bulldogs shouldn't be surprised by Stony Brook. In the last postseason NIT, they played Vermont out of the same conference, who gave them a good run, so they know these teams from the American East can play.
Jurisic hits the three-pointer, had 18 the other night against Georgia Tech. He gets in the scoring column. And 27 points total score here in the first 4+ minutes.
Jurisic is a big man, but you almost got to treat him like a guard in this lineup, because he's going to be on the perimeter more, and he's their best three-point shooter outside of game.
Scott King, rim out, man back in the ball game, snags the rebound, brings it up the floor.
This is where man's at his best, in transition.
And draws the foul. Foul will be called on Cameron Mitchell.
And that's what he does. He draws fouls, and if he can get a stop and push him in transition, he'll be in good shape.
Seawolves 3 of 4 on their threes to start the game. Puriefoy.
If you're a Georgia fan like the team's asleep, because you've never heard of Stony Brook, Stony Brook is respected across college basketball.
Inbounds comes to Man. Man and Gaines on the floor at the same time here.
This is where they struggle to get Man good looks in the half-court set.
Jawan Parker, and he hits the three.
Stony Brook is going to have to be disciplined and stay with their game plan, because they were trying to make Georgia beat them with a three. Now Georgia's all of a sudden making a few threes. Do they change their game plan or stick with it?
More than made a few. They're 4 for 4. That's a miss by Secunda. And Thornton with the rebound.
Man's got to push this ball and not let him stop him.
Gaines off the iron. First miss for Georgia from behind the arc.
If I'm Coach Peichel, I keep letting Georgia try to beat me with a three, even if they get hot.
The drive by Thrower. Ball shoots out to Puriefoy. Drives by Gaines all the way and lays it in. I like Puriefoy, don't you?
He's the best player in the building right now.
Points. 11 at Stony Brook's 18. Great quickness on that last drive. Jurisic puts it on the floor, draws the foul from King.
Bailed him out there with the foul, but that's a good post-up if you're Stony Brook. You're going to like that matchup. Puriefoy going to the basket.
He beat 3 guys.
Smallest guy on the court, not intimidated by the big men.
Beat 3 guys. You know, early in the season, Dane, typically teams are sluggish offensively. These teams have combined for 32 points, just 1 turnover in the first 5 minutes and 42 seconds.
I think it's a mix of good execution and great individual plays, like we were saying. Teams are hot. They're both excited. And Georgia's team right now, if there's anybody that might be in desperation mode, even though it's way too early to call it that, it's Georgia, because bad Novembers have haunted them the past 2 seasons and kept them out of the NCAA tournament. So with the loss to Georgia Tech last Friday, they realize they can't afford to get off to the wrong foot again.
Certainly not a home loss, even though Stony Brook, a very good team, certainly not a home loss to Stony Brook. 6-6 in the non-conference last year. They went 12-6, tied with Kentucky in the SEC standings. Did not make the NCAA tournament because of a very poor month of November. Puriefoy. Georgia got a piece of it that time as Gaines got out there and played defense. Now Man brings it across for Georgia.
And that's a better matchup with Gaines on Puriefoy. He's got the height and the size and the quickness. So Gaines might not be healthy and 100%, but I think Coach Fox is going to leave him in there tonight to stop Puriefoy. Puriefoy.
That is the second time now that man in the first 6 minutes of this game has penetrated and drawn the foul.
Top 20 in the country last year in free throws made and attempted was Charles Mann. This is his game. He drives to the basket, goes in there and tries to get the foul. There's going to be times where he gets some charges and some turnovers and you question his shot selection, but you learn to stay aggressive and keep attacking.
Averaged 8.4 free throws per game last season. That was second most in the SEC, 7th in the nation.
I think part of his poor performance versus Georgia Tech, as we were talking with Coach Fox earlier, he got his head down a little bit because he wasn't getting these type of calls at Georgia Tech. He's used to getting to the line, and that gets him in rhythm. But he wasn't able to get there last game.
And because of man, in large part, you see that Georgia was second in the SEC in free throws attempted and fouls drawn. Man played a big role in that. Deontay Mayton, the big-time freshman in the ballgame now for Georgia, wearing number 1.
Boy, they're excited about that freshman Mayton. He had a great preseason. Not so great last game.
Petrus fouled on his left-handed shot. Man, Petrus is big.
Both teams are bailing each other out down low. They don't have, neither side has a traditional big man that you want to just post up and feed the ball outside of Warney, but he's not in the game right now. You build a wall, keep those hands straight up. Early in the preseason, the refs are going to be sticklers. If you bring those hands down at all, they're blowing the whistle.
Petrus, a 6'11", 250 freshman, which means he's probably still growing, Dane.
He is, and talking with Coach Peichel earlier today, he thought that he could really have a defensive impact on this game. So if he's giving him some points, that's gravy for him.
Yeah. Didn't play much in the Friday opener against Columbia. Columbia with 8 3-point shooters. They didn't want him out there on the floor chasing little guys all night. But here against the bigger Georgia team, going to get more minutes. 2-point lead for Stony Brook. Inside to Mayton. First basket for Mayton. Mayton trying to rebound after a poor performance against Georgia Tech on Friday night. Some freshman nerves, perhaps.
Excuse me, that's a great look. Look, Jurisic is probably their best post passer for Georgia.
Shot blocked by Mayton. And stolen by Gaines. And he picks it up. 3-on-1 for Georgia. The man in the layup.
There's the top SEC combo in the conference. Gaines to man.
And that all started with a block by Mayton.
Yeah, these guards, they like to be in transition.
Field Hills High School, averaged just under 20 points and 15 rebounds a game as a senior.
Coach Fox said Mayton was the best player on the court multiple times during the preseason. Just didn't have a good outing, maybe some nerves in Georgia Tech.
Didn't play like himself against Georgia Tech, but in their closed scrimmage against NC State and then their exhibition against Georgia Southwestern, Mayton played very well. In fact, had a double-double against Georgia Southwestern, 10 points and 12 rebounds. Throwers at the line. Wednesday, SEC basketball action tips off at 9 as new head coach Danny Manning's Demon Deacons face an early season road test against Fort Bobby Portis and the Razorbacks. Wake Forest, Arkansas on the SEC Network and watch ESPN.
Thrower missed there, and he doesn't start for Stony Brook, but he ended the game in their home opener, and he's a guy that Coach Piper can rely on when the going gets tough.
True freshman from Muskegon, Michigan, and thrower, quite an appropriate name for him. He was an all-state quarterback, in fact, runner-up Mr. Football in the state of Michigan, and he was Mr. Basketball in the state of Michigan as well.
Look at Puriefoy. He would have made a great football player, too. Look at him take the hit, get the charge, moves his feet to get himself in front of Gaines. If you lower that shoulder like Gaines did and Puriefoy takes the contact, you're going to get called for the charge.
5 team fouls now on Georgia, matched by Stony Brook. Puriefoy off the screen. Making the rebound. Man up the floor. Frazier on the wing. Off back iron. Stony Brook stolen by Man. 1-on-2, and Man draws the foul. Foul's going to be called on Petrus. He has no fear going to the hoop.
Gets the easy steal on a bad pass, and he's going in there expecting to get fouled. A lot of times he won't even have his head looking at the basket. He's more focused on getting the body contact, and you don't do that unless you're a good free throw shooter. A lot of guys who aren't good at the line, they avoid the contact because they don't want to go up in front of the crowd and have to shoot free throws in front of them. It's the truth. But Charles Mann, that's where he makes a living.
You saw his numbers a year ago, leading scorer for Georgia, just under 14 a game. Shot just 41% from the floor, just 31% on his three. So he's not a great shooter, yet he is a scorer.
And that's where Stony Brook has done a good job so far of packing in the paint, making him a shooter, but there's been some times in transition where they just don't have enough guys set, and in transition, Mann is going to win every single time.
3-point lead for Georgia. Thrower. Rebound. Last touch by Stony Brook. And a timeout. 8 minutes and 9 seconds in. Stegman Coliseum. We've got breakneck speed here as Georgia leads Stony Brook 24-21.
Boy, and interesting in that huddle, you saw all the Georgia players standing up. Marcus Gaines really suck and win. He logged a lot of minutes there, more than he has been in the past couple months.
Other story developing here in this first half. Mel Warney only 3 minutes on the floor for Stony Brook after picking up 2 fouls.
I think that's been a big reason for Georgia getting back into this game. Having Warney, not having to worry about him anymore down low, has really helped him.
Man, sinks it. Georgia on a 15-5 run, 8 of 8 on their free throws. They've out-rebounded Stony Brook 4-0 during that stretch, and now Georgia has opened up a 5-point lead.
And I think that's the next step for Charles Mann. So often he just drives as far as he can looking for that foul. If he can do a stop, pop, pull up like that, that's when he gets to the next level and he becomes almost impossible to defend.
Mayton goes to the bench. Thornton back in. As well as Puriefoy plays, it's going to be very difficult for Stony Brook to win, Dane, without Warney on the floor.
It is, and they've done a lot of switching now where Mann and Gaines are now guarding Puriefoy because he was just having his way with Frazier. It wasn't a good matchup for him.
Mann just picked up his second personal foul, and so Gaines up off the bench will go and get Mann. They'll have to check out with 10:56 left here in the first half. By the way, Georgia Bulldog fans will be happy to know Georgia has moved up 5 spots in the latest college football playoff rankings. Number 10 now. They'll host Charleston Southern Saturday here on SEC Network.
Georgia showing their first zone of the night. This is something Stony Brook practice against and walk and shoot around. They're looking to post up McGrew and get him the ball in there, but it's just not the same without Warner.
Frazier goes all the way, and that is a blocking foul on Stony Brook.
Coach
Mitchell
Michael had to hold himself back. He wasn't too happy about that call, but I thought it was a pretty good drive at first glance.
Watch Mitchell 3. They call it on him. Wow. Woo. Close.
That's tough. May have gotten there just a little bit late. Could have gone either way. Bang, bang call.
I thought he had a very similar defensive play against Mann earlier in the game, and they called it on Mann that time. That time they called it on Mitchell. So Frazier at the line.
Frazier's just really been a big boost to this Bulldog club early on. I think he's been a nice surprise for Mark Fox and his staff because he was kind of a role player, but he's taken on a much larger role than they anticipated.
Frazier 3 of 3 at the foul line. Georgia 9 of 9. You see Frazier last season 10.5 points per game, just under 10.5 minutes per game, I should say, and just under 4 points per game.
Jurashitz with the foul. I believe that's his first, so Georgia will be okay there. If you're Stony Brook, Georgia's getting to the line way too many times. A lot of that's in transition. That goes against their entire game plan.
15 free throws total so far. Georgia 9 of 10. Stony Brook 4 of 5.
And it's interesting. Warney subbed in, and as soon as he subbed in before a second had even ticked off the clock, he gets a rebound and a foul and gets himself to the line.
Warney, American East Player of the Year as a sophomore, preseason Player of the Year as a junior, averaged just under 15 a game last year, 8 rebounds, shot 61.5%, 62% from the floor, 5th in the nation. in that category a year ago.
He's obviously had foul trouble tonight, but this kid, Warney, is just shattering all records at Stony Brook. Just a junior. By the end of his senior season, look for him to be at the top in almost every statistical category.
Ball is stolen by Puriefoy. Take it in against Frazier and lay it in, and Stony Brook is cut it to 2.
Puriefoy is looking like a mini Russell Westbrook out there from Stony Brook.
He's got 13 points now. Back to Thornton. Nice pass, and he blew the layup. And a foul on Puriefoy.
I know they're not happy with that foul, but they did. Stony Brook really lucked out by Warney not getting a cheap one there. He was close to getting his third on Thornton. But Warney really trying to play close there and not get his third foul.
Puriefoy picks up his first personal, 18 fouls now on Stony Brook.
I don't blame him for going for that loose ball. If I was that fast, I'd go for every single one, too.
13 points, 5 of 7 shooting, 1 assist for Puriefoy. 2 of 4 behind the three-point line, 1 of 1 at the line.
He and Warney are just juniors, but they're the oldest on the team. There's no seniors on this Stony Brook team. And Coach Peichel said, you know what, that's kind of good because Puriefoy and Warney are our best players, so they don't have to feel like they're deferring to any seniors. They can just take the team and run with it.
Yeah, Peichel really feels like they've got 2 really good years in front of them now with these 2 players leading the way.
There's some pressure for the first time from Georgia. When you're in foul trouble like Warney, not only does it affect you on the defensive end, but also it affects how aggressively you work on offense. And there he is, pushing off for the rebound.
Niyama called for the foul.
I apologize.
Number 1 on him.
But Warney, you could tell he was hesitant on his post-up, not nearly as aggressive when he didn't have any fouls.
So Frazier at the line. He's 3 of 4 tonight.
You're seeing this a lot in the early season action across the entire country. Teams getting into that bonus and double bonus very early into the game because the refs are establishing themselves really for the entire season. There's points of emphasis, and they're trying to set the stage for what should be expected throughout the season.
Yeah, both these teams into the bonus at the halfway point of the first half. Nice form by Frazier, one of the best shooters on this Georgia team. And Frazier with 8 points, tying Charles Mann for the team lead right now.
This is an adjustment by Coach Peichel, expecting the press to get Thrower in there for another guard and ball handler. Number 22, Secunda in the game, another promising freshman for Stony Brook that played great in their opener.
Warney puts it on the board, goes by Thornton, puts it in. Warney rolls off the rim with the left-handed hook.
If I'm Georgia right now, I'm posting up Warney, even if it's a bad shot. Thornton needs to go at him and try to get that foul. There it is. That time it was the help that came over. Good play by Stony Brook. If somebody's going to foul and help, it needs to be somebody other than Warney.
Georgia 13 out of 14 at the foul line so far tonight. Thornton at the line for the first time.
Great recognition by Mark Fox. There's not a better offensive play you can draw up right now than getting a foul on Warney.
Wednesday on SEC Network at 11, SEC in 60 eliminates the fluff and brings you 60 of pure football action. Then at midnight, a new SEC coach sits down to dissect game film and give you an inside look how they study tape to gain an edge over their opponents. SEC in 60 and SEC Film Room Wednesday at 11 and midnight on SEC Network, also available on Watch ESPN.
Georgia continuing with some light pressure. Even if they don't get any steals out of it, it's a way to set the tempo for a fast-paced game, which is what they want.
Warney has it stolen away by Thornton. Thornton pulls up three-pointer. Puriefoy across the half-court line, working against Gaines, banging bodies, had his shot blocked away.
I like the no call by the official there.
And a timeout with 7:55 to play in the half, and Georgia with a 5-point lead on the Seawolves. Three-game win streak ended at the O'Connell Center by Miami last night.
What a performance at late in the clutch by the Hurricanes. Florida without Dorian Finney-Smith and also Chris Walker, who was suspended, so they didn't have their full team out there, but a loss is a loss. Georgia staying in this zone. They've been pretty pleased with how it's working so far.
Secunda. And the rebound controlled by Parker. Jurisic and Frazier, the only starters on the floor for Georgia right now. And Frazier beats his man off the dribble.
Jurisic there. We were talking to Coach Fox earlier, and he said he has the green light. He can shoot it from three. He can take guys off the dribble, whatever he wants.
Jurisic with the block. Stony Brook gets it back. Thrower, his shot blocked by Mayton. Jurisic has really blossomed into a fine player for Georgia here in his senior season. Last couple of years, he has been a really strong performer for Mark Fox's squad.
Creates such matchup problems. His ability to shoot the three. Here's a chance where he might do a post-up pass. He's looking for it. He's their best post-up passer. The reason is he's out there on the post, so he's drawing another big man, and his big man can't help because Jurisic will pop it.
Great example right there. Nice bounce pass into Mayton, who put it in with the hook shot.
That play doesn't work as well if it's Mayton to Jurisic down low because Mayton can't shoot it from three as well. That way, his big man could have helped down. But that is a great play, something that was really effective for him versus Georgia Tech as well.
Mayton with 4 points, 2 of 2 from the floor, first shot at the line. Georgia 14 of 16 at the stripe already tonight. This zone has really caused some problems for the Seawolves.
They've got Thrower and Secunda on the wings, both freshmen. In a road environment, they need to be ready to step up and shoot the ball.
Thrower, three-pointer, airballs it, rebound, and that's going to be a shot clock violation.
Even the putbacks never hit the rim. Thrower misses that badly. Secunda missed a shot earlier, but in a zone, you can't stop shooting the ball.
Pleasure visiting with Steve Peichel today at the shoot-around. Really excited about his program as they've opened up the new Island Federal Credit Union Arena, moving from Pritchard Gym, seats 4,000. They sold it out for their victory against Columbia on Friday night.
He deserves to be excited. We joked with him. He said about 10 years ago when he did his home opener, he said about 212 people were there, and he said half of them were friends. Yep. Now it's safe to say he's got more fans and probably more friends, too.
They're scalping tickets outside the arena. Inside the Mayton!
Really nice play by Parker. Mayton will get the highlight, but Parker drew the defense and did the spoon feed to Mayton. Can't get any easier than that.
Georgia with nearly 40 points here in the first half, and we still have 5 minutes to play.
Stony Brook has won their last 30 games when holding people under 60 points. So right now, defensively, they're on a horrible pace.
Puriefoy now with 16. He is smoking hot. 6 of 8, 3 of 5 on his threes. Had 24 points against Maine last season. That's his career high.
Matt, there's a couple guys on this Stony Brook team that I think if you put an SEC jersey on, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Puriefoy and Warney are those two guys.
Offensive foul on Forte. Cameron Forte called for the offensive foul. He'll go to the bench.
Gaines is coming back in the game. You'll see Coach Fox, because of the fatigue factor and Gaines still trying to overcome the effects of that off-season illness, you'll see him play in spurts at a time. So if he gets 25 minutes tonight, it won't be in big chunks. It'll be in smaller chunks.
He has 5 points so far, 1 personal foul. Secundo on the drive. Shot it up over the hoop, and Jurisic the rebound. 5 boards for Jurisic already. Gaines back on the other end. Misses the 3. Secundo the rebound.
If I'm Coach Peichel, I want to slow it down. Even though we're not doing much on the offensive end right now, it's hurting us in transition for Georgia. Stay patient and do your game plan.
Parker going to be called for the reach-in. That'll be the first foul on Juwan Parker.
Curious to see how Coach Peichel subs in, if he does at all, with Warney, to see if he'll come in or let the Stony Brook team finish it out on their own. I guess a lot of that will depend on how large this lead gets built for Georgia.
Thornton back in. Jurisic out for Georgia.
Thornton, just a first-class kid. He's overcome 3 big knee injuries and surgeries, and now playing at full health and done a great job. And Coach Fox said he's just one of the best kids you could ever have on your team.
5th-year senior, had a medical redshirt because of those injuries. Medical redshirt came in the 2013 season.
Thornton's the type of guy that might not score a lot of points tonight. His primary job is going to be stop Warney, but he's the type of guy that doesn't have the big ego that will accept that role and do whatever's best for the team.
King hit both of his free throws. Seawolves are down 6.
Seawolves showing their own zone.
Parker puts it on the floor. Touch pass to Maton. That's the 2nd consecutive time down the floor. Maton has had a big finish.
Well, you can't let him split the double team over there in that zone. That's what Parker has done twice in a row now.
King left it short. Frazier, the rebound. King tipped it away from him. Last touch by King. Bulldogs ball. 3:41 to play in the first half. And the freshman, Yante Maton, making his presence felt with a big finish. The NIT season tip-off. Georgia fell behind early here. Puriefoy very hot for Stony Brook, and now Georgia turns it over, and that's Puriefoy. Nice step move and layup. 18 for Puriefoy in the first half.
He's showing us some NBA moves. That's called the Euro step. He Ginobili'd them, as they would say on the streets. Georgia, I was just about to compliment them on taking care of the basketball, something they didn't do well versus Georgia Tech, or at all last year for that matter. Only 6 turnovers tonight, but that last one by Frazier was a bad one.
Dane, you mentioned the Euro step. Stony Brook has put 9 European pros in action over the last couple of years. Foul's going to be called right there on Petrus.
Great job of Gaines attacking that screen defender. You want to attack that outside hip and try to get the bump. You're right, Matt. When we talked to Coach Peichel earlier in the day, he talked about what a great venue this was for him. He said, look, we recruit from all over. Being able to have a presence down here in Georgia doesn't mean we can't maybe steal a Georgia kid or two.
Said they were recruiting a couple of juniors here in the state. Of course, can't talk specifics about recruits. Puriefoy over there with Peichel. What a start for Puriefoy tonight. Great opportunity for him to set a new career high. Gains the miss. Georgia's lead 7, now under 3 minutes to play in the half.
A real key for Coach Peichel is how do you get Warney the ball against this zone? That's one way. Just miss a shot.
And he missed the shot point blank. Thornton, the trailer. Frazier had his shot blocked. Niyama blocked Thornton's shot. Now Thrower on the drive going against Maton, and a foul is going to be called either on Gaines or Maton, one or the other. Wow. Niyama got up there high.
Came out of nowhere. I don't think Thornton ever saw him coming.
Foul was called on Maton. 2 fouls on him now. SEC women's basketball. continues Thursday. Clemson travels to Columbia, takes on a loaded South Carolina team led by reigning SEC Player of the Year, Tiffany Mitchell. Clemson versus number 2 South Carolina Thursday at 7 on SEC Network and watch ESPN. Gamecocks picked to win the SEC women's basketball title this year. Cameron Mitchell checks back in for the Seawolves, and Thrower goes to the bench.
Stony Brook doing some offense for defense substitution when possible. Getting Warning on the bench right now on the defensive side so he doesn't pick up a cheap one.
Screen set by Thornton. Haynes gets open, hit the front iron. Puriefoy, man, he is fast. And one.
My goodness.
Wow. Puriefoy at 20 points in the first 18 minutes of the game. He'll be at the line to make it 21.
Watch this full speed live replay right here. Puriefoy's going to get this thing. Watch how fast he gets up and down the court. Georgia's back on defense. They have 3 or 4 guys back, and they still can't stop him. Great hang time in the air. That's as athletic of a play you're going to see during this Hoops Marathon.
Puriefoy with 21 of the Seawolves' 38 points. Keeping Stony Brook in the game by himself right now as Warney has battled foul trouble and scored only 6.
Puriefoy's been able to do it in so many ways from 3 against man-to-man, zone, or transition.
Thornton banging bodies, banks it in there, up over Petrus. First basket for Thornton. First basket for Thornton. He's now 1 for 5.
Not a good look for Stony Brook there. Got to be more patient.
Thornton. And 1. Blocking foul on Stony Brook.
Thornton doing a nice job. Not too many big men, guys. If the ball gets down low, you can go in there and take a dig. What he means by dig is you can help off the wing and just show a little bit of help, kind of bluff at the post man.
Thornton with 6 as he completes the three-point play. There he is again, Mr. Dangerous. In deep, Warning, and 1.
That's exactly where you want him to get the ball, deep in the paint, where all he has to do is take maybe 1 dribble, 2 at most, and he'll take care of the rest.
Now look, he's working against Houston there.
And he can go over either shoulder, the right shoulder or the left. That's the great thing about him. The one weakness, I think, in his game is his ability to run up and down the court at a high speed, and that's where Georgia's been effective, is making him trail the play.
Got in deep there on Houston Kessler, the 6'8 redshirt sophomore, and Warney will go to the bench. But what you saw him utilize was that big old backside of his to work his way down. He got in deep, and you just forget about it.
If it's that deep, somebody's got to come and collapse and try to give him a hard foul, make him earn 2, because that was too easy.
And Thornton able to draw a foul on Petrus, and Petrus now has 3 personal fouls.
Thornton does a nice job. He did this against Georgia Tech, had some success with it, catching the ball at that high post on the elbow, and he'll just drive right, just 1 or 2 dribbles, and see if he can't draw a foul. That's something that he's done really well the past 2 games now.
This will be the 21st free throw attempt of the half for Georgia. They have 23 field goal attempts, so nearly as many free throw attempts as field goal attempts in the first 19 minutes of this game. That's
something Coach Fox said to us. He said we've got to get ourselves back to the free throw line. Wasn't real happy, I don't think, with the whistle at Georgia Tech, but wants to keep his guys aggressive. And that's the tough part on the coaching side when you got guys like Charles Mann that want to attack the basket. You might have some bad shots every now and then, but you don't want to pull the reins on them too hard. You want them to stay aggressive and get themselves to the line.
Warney rebound. 5 boards now for him. Looking for Warney, battling against Thornton. 10 on the shot clock. Puriefoy behind a screen. Thornton got up high to snag that rebound above the rim. 30 seconds left in the half. Shot clock off. Georgia can play for the last shot.
Looks like they'll let it wind down to under 10 and maybe come up with this high ball screen.
Five on the clock. 3. Frazier in trouble. And Parker at the buzzer. Jawan Parker sinks it at the buzzer. And Georgia, with a 7-point lead at halftime, nearly scores 50 in the first.
UC logo is in the paint, because if it's too late, he's going to knife the defense and get an and one like he's been successful at. Interested to see how the help comes in this second half.
What a performance by Carson, Trey, Puriefoy in the first 20 minutes. They go in there to Warney. Warney had 9 in the first half, and now he's got 11 and 1.
Beautiful play that they called and drew up out of halftime. They wanted to feed their horse, not make Puriefoy do it all. Gave it to Warney in that same spot we talked about. Georgia can't allow him to get it right there on the block. One dribble. He can go over the left shoulder or the right shoulder. Beautiful baby hook there.
Puriefoy and Warney have now combined for 32 of the Seawolves' first 43. No big surprise there, though. Now Georgia on offense for the first time in the second half. Thornton working over Warney. They immediately try to get Warney into additional foul trouble.
Anxious to see how long Georgia stays in man-to-man. The zone was so good for them in that first half. We'll see how long they stick with this.
Niyama, and the rebound by Mann. Mann played only 7 minutes in that first half, Dave.
Yeah, he was kind of lost in the mix because Georgia was shooting the ball so well and everybody was contributing. Parker with the ball right now quietly had a really strong half for the Bulldogs, breaking that zone and also making a couple buckets.
Jurisic fouled on the spin move by McGrew.
McGrew's got to be able to stop that. He's quicker than Jurisic down on the post. That's not Jurisic's game. And so you got to be able to move your feet, keep them in front of you. Because right now, if I'm Coach Peichel at halftime, it's, hey, guys, they've been to the line 22 times. And guess what? We can't depend on the refs to call it any differently. Adjust to the refs the way they're calling it. Move your feet and play sound defense.
8 points, 5 rebounds for Jurisic. He's 3 of 3 at the line. That was just the 7th miss for Georgia tonight. They're shooting very well from the stripe, 17 of 24. Again, they look to Warney. Puriefoy goes by Frazier. Bump foul on Frazier. On the floor, not a shooting foul.
I know Stony Brook wish they didn't call the whistle there, because that was a great play. That's one that they set up. We saw them do this and walk through where they clear out to the other side and let Puriefoy go one-on-one.
2 personals now on Frazier. Inside, McGrew had a shot rejected by Thornton. Traveling on Parker. Georgia with 5 blocks now in this game. Maton has 3 of them. And now Thornton has 1 along with Jurisic.
Georgia looks like they've already switched back to that zone.
It worked so well for him in that first half. On the wing. Shot missed by Niyama. Head to man. Back to Frazier. Frazier, nope, going to be waved off.
That is a tough call for Charles Mann. He made a great pass in transition. He was just trying to stop himself from falling, it looked like. And as a result, he shoved the defender down.
That'll be the 3rd foul on Mann.
He starts to fall, and as he's tripping, he pushes Puriefoy over.
So Mann becomes the first Bulldog to reach 3 personal fouls in this game.
For Stony Brook, somebody's going to have to make a shot besides Puriefoy.
And traveling on Niyama.
Niyama, Mitchell, Thrower, and Secunda. The wing players for Stony Brook are combined 0 for 9 in the first half. These guys are young. They're either freshmen or redshirt freshmen, but it doesn't matter. This is big boy basketball tonight. You got to step up and make some shots.
Screen set by Thornton. They whip it around to Jurisic. He puts it on the floor. Bounce to Thornton. Stolen by Mitchell. Mitchell out of bounds when it hit him. And Thrower checks into the ball game for the Seawolves, and Yama will come out.
Jurisic was taught well out in Montenegro because he came in. There's not too many big men in the country that can pump fake from three, take a couple dribbles, one-hand bounce pass on the baseline. Really skilled move for a big man.
Foul's going to be called on Mitchell. That's number 4 on him.
It's a point of emphasis this year with that arm bar, especially if you put 2 hands on him, it's going to be a whistle every time.
So Mitchell's going to go to the bench for a while now in deep foul trouble. First player to reach 4 in this game. Man launching 3. Way off the mark. That's not his specialty. Puriefoy. Foul's going to be called on Frazier. So Puriefoy doing to Georgia what Man does to everybody else right there.
That's a great point. Frazier shrugs his shoulders saying, looking at coach like, what do you want me to do? Frazier's backing up. He feels like he's there, but that's the key. He's starting to back up. Puriefoy puts everybody on their heels with his speed.
Frazier's now got 3 personal fouls, and so games will come in for him. So Man and Frazier both with 3 fouls. Man stays on the floor. Warney working against Jurisic. Good defense by Jurisic. Getting fouled. That's hard to do when Warney gets moving in the paint. Jurisic back the other way. High off the back iron, off the top of the backboard, and here come the Seawolves.
That's a shot he can make. Not a bad looking transition for Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia likes that shot. Thrower, his shot blocked by Thornton, but a foul is going to be called.
Did Thornton possibly get him with the body there? I'm not sure. It looks like I don't know. It looks like the offensive player drew the contact with his offhand. Tough call.
2 fouls now on Thornton. Five team fouls for Georgia here in the opening, less than 4 minutes of the half. And Thrower with the miss. He's now 2 for 5 at the foul line, and the Seawolves 11 of 15. Thornton to the bench.
Thrower or Secunda, one of these guys is going to have to step up, like we talked about, because Georgia's going to stay in this zone. And right now, all Georgia has to do is focus on 2 guys. Remember how hot these 2 teams started in the ball game? Well, Georgia's 0 for 3 to start this half, and Stony Brook 1 for 5. It all evens out, doesn't it, Dane? I think they're starting to figure each other out a little bit and pulling off some.
Jurisic and 1.
He's doing things a big man shouldn't be able to do. Off the dribble, gets the bump, the harm, and the foul, and the bucket.
He's got a great pump fake. You saw it right there. Got King in the air, and then foul is called on Petrus. He's now got 3. Jurisic now in double figures. First Bulldog to reach double digits. He's got 10 to go along with 6 boards.
You're exactly right. That's a textbook pump fake. Bring the ball up to your forehead, make it believable, and sell it really hard, and that's what caused the Stony Brook defender to fly.
And it seems like to me those big men really go for the pump fake, don't they?
They tend to. Yeah. They want to block every shot.
They want that block. Yeah. They're going to bite on that.
Too stagnant right now at Stony Brook's offense.
Warney inside, good defense by Jurisic, but Warney gets it back. His shot was deflected by Maton and put in by Keating. Fouled on Puriefoy as Man was driving the paint. And we have our first timeout of the second half with Georgia on top by 6.
He's the only one on there that's in progress. I think he's got a good chance to do it.
So far scoreless here in the second half at 21 first half points. Already 8 points above his per game average of a year ago.
If I'm Coach Fox out of this timeout, I want to keep trying to run things through Jurisic. They don't have an answer for him right now.
Puriefoy, long rebound, has Warney on the wing, gets it to him, and Warney's pass defensed, and he shot it over the hoop. Good defense by Georgia right there, not to foul.
That's rare for him to miss a bunny like that. Great pass by Puriefoy. Everybody thinks he's going up, and then he drops it right off.
Puriefoy off a screen, but Parker picks him up. King to the corner. Man the rebound for Georgia. 4 boards for Man. Only 8 points for Man thus far. James open on the wing. Jurisic ends up with it. Good defense by Warney.
Coach Fox wanted a foul there on the putback. Coach Pikel's got to come up with something against this zone. Thrower and Secunda, when they catch it, they got to be looking to attack instead of looking to pass.
Warney drop step. Defense by Jurisic, kicked out of bounds by Georgia. Watch Jurisic after the drop step by Warney here.
They went over this and shoot around. Even in the zone, you can come down and help and double.
Yeah, that quick drop step by Warney abused the freshman Maton on that play. But Jurisic helped him out, bailed him out. 11 on the shot clock now. Thrower, shot contested by Gaines.
Yeah, not a good look. Never had a clean handle on the ball. Should have passed it.
Man driving. There's a whistle. I wonder if he hears whistles in his sleep.
He makes a living at that free throw line, doesn't he? I'll be curious to see if he ends up breaking his record from last season where he got to the free throw line so many times. But a big key tonight for Charles Mann and the whole Georgia Bulldogs is their decision-making and assist-to-turnover ratio. It was something they struggled with all year long last year. Mann had about 119 turnovers. The second guy closest to him wasn't even half of that. So he's doing a better job tonight of picking and choosing his spots when he attacks.
He's 5 for 5 at the line tonight. Really got in the gym and tried to work on his ball handling, his decision-making. As you mentioned, 3.4 turnovers per game, only 2.9 assists per game. So, in other words, he was underwater.
I think part of that is putting some pressure on himself because he knows Gaines isn't 100% healthy and he thinks he has to carry a larger load. Now that Gaines is logging more minutes and can assist him some, I think he's playing his game.
Georgia up by 8. They've trailed by as much as 8. They've led by as much as 11. Puriefoy whips it to the corner. Secunda open at 3. Warner tried to keep it alive, and here comes Mann. Another board for the Bulldogs. Parker draws contact. Couldn't get the basket. He'll go to the line for 2.
Secunda, the freshman, has great basketball genes with his dad being a college basketball player. He's going to be a great star for Stony Brook, but he's
are just 1 for their last 7 and 2 for their last 12.
Coach Pikel goes with Ryan Burnett, the sophomore guard out of Richmond, Virginia, number 33. He didn't play at all last game, but he's searching for answers, somebody to contribute outside of the 2 stars.
Shot contested. Puriefoy remains scoreless here in the half. Is pleading to Doug Shouse for a call there as he ran down the floor. Ten on the shot clock. Jurisic left open, pump fake, drives, challenged by Warney, and Warney blocked his shot. It's a bold move to take on Warney, and Warney won it that time. Puriefoy left open, and a foul over the back on Stony Brook. Okay, Jurisic challenges Warney on this play. I don't know if that's a smart decision.
I'm not sure he saw him coming. That pump fake's been working all night. To his credit, he's been getting the line and doing well. That's not going to be one he wants to see tomorrow on the game field.
Yeah, that was helped by, you saw he was guarding Mayton, and he comes over to pick up Jurisic as he was driving the lane, and now Mayton is at the line. He's 0 for 1 tonight. 8 points, 1 rebound for Mayton. Chose Georgia over offers from Michigan State and Indiana after starring in Pontiac, Michigan.
Mayton's going to be a household name for SEC fans when it's all said and done. Really talented freshman. One of the guys that Mark Fox is most excited about, especially next year when you're going to lose Thornton and some of your big men. Mayton's going to have an increased role.
Yeah, he replaces Dante Williams, the senior, in the Georgia lineup. Mark Fox says that he's a better scorer than Williams ever thought about being, but here in his freshman season, they lose a little bit defensively. Dante Williams was a great defensive player for Georgia.
And Brandon Morris, a guy that got dismissed from the team earlier this year, has forced some other guys to have to grow up a little bit quicker than they thought.
Ball is thrown away.
Good catch. Nice form on the throw. Well
you like
done,
that?
Ball.
Yeah, one-handed. I learned that on the rough streets of College Park, Georgia, growing up. 12:23 to play in the ball game. Georgia leading Stony Brook by 10.
Stony Brook's in a real vulnerable spot right now. They can't get anything to go their way offensively. Down 10, they've got to keep this lead low.
Mayton fouled on the shot.
We're only 8 minutes in, and there's already 18 fouls. This is one of the things that I know Coach Peichel told his guys, I'm sure, at halftime, you got to figure out how to play without fouling. They're not going to change the way they're calling it.
Georgia shooting 71% at the line in this game. Stony Brook 75%. Mayton now 2 of 4, and he reaches double digits with that free throw right there. He's got 10, along with Mann.
As many free throws as they do field goal attempts.
Georgia has twice as many free throw attempts as do the Seawolves. That's always a fear of every visiting team, especially a visiting team that goes into the gym of a non-conference opponent. And, of course, Coach Peichel was talking about that about 8 hours ago when they talked to him. McGrew shot it up over the hoop. Good deep inside Georgia. This is Georgia's largest lead. Man, the miss. Thornton had it, stolen away, got it back, and Parker hammered and won.
Great unselfish play by Thornton. He's strong enough to go up there and try to get the and one himself, but he saw the open teammate, and credit Parker for finishing strong. That's a big boy move. And both teams in the second half, Stony Brook 2 for 15. Georgia not that much better, 2 for 10. The difference, Stony Brook 1 for 3 from the line. Georgia 8 for 11 with the 12th one coming up right here.
So Georgia now has a 13-point advantage at the free throw line, and that's why they lead by 15 points now.
And if you're Stony Brook, you're the visiting team, look, it's easy to say we're not getting the calls on the road, but that's not stopping you from executing offensively. They've got to draw something up to give themselves some better, cleaner looks at the basket.
McGrew on the drive, beat Mayton that time. That is just the second bucket for McGrew. They keep him on the floor even though he has 4 personal fouls.
Georgia trying hard to post up Mayton.
Gino off a screen. Mayton gets the offensive rebound. Missed. Thornton gets the offensive rebound and doesn't. That's 8 for Thornton. Stony Brook, however, has beaten Georgia on the offensive glass. But the Bulldogs convert there and now lead by 15 again.
Stony Brook was down 15, 16 points in their opener in the first half of their game and managed to come back. But right now, the body language, the tempo, everything seems to be going against them. They need somebody to make a big play and rally this team.
Reach and foul on Mayton. That's his 3rd personal. 11 points and 4 boards for the freshman tonight. Jurisic in, Gaines out, Maton out, Frazier in as well.
Stony Brook has some star power, but this is also a really new team for Coach Piper. 7 newcomers. He said they're still trying to figure it out. Their starting lineup's probably going to change multiple times throughout the season. I think this is one of those moments where he finds out a lot about who's ready to play and who's not.
And Puriefoy clearly frustrated here in the second half. 21 in the first 20 minutes. He has yet to score here in the opening 9:40 of the second half.
I think the key to this whole game has been Georgia's zone defense. Puriefoy's been able to get some transition buckets, but I don't remember him scoring very often against his zone. Georgia's so much more patient offensively than they were Friday night at Georgia Tech. And just as I say that on cue, they get impatient to turn it over.
Just the 8th turnover for Georgia in this game.
Yeah, we'll cut them some slack. They've still done a great job.
Puriefoy. Now he doesn't have the rhythm that he had in the first half, and he commits a foul. So you can see the frustration starting to mount for Puriefoy. He's not got his offense here in the second half, and now he's committing fouls out of frustration.
This is where your leader needs to step up. Varney huddled them up just now, told everybody just calm down. But somebody's got to get them together. Puriefoy preferably, because that's your point guard. That's your quarterback. He needs to get guys together. As good as he's been throughout the game, now it's his leadership that needs to step up.
Yeah, that's just a frustration foul right there. He has no shot of getting a steal, reaching across man's body.
Right. And that's one of the things he's going to learn as a leader is you can't do some of those frustration calls the way you could if you were a freshman, sophomore, because the rest of the team, it's going to be a trickle-down effect. They're going to follow your lead.
First free throw miss of the night for Mann, who's now 6 for 7. McGrew out, Petrus in. Petrus also has 4 fouls, so they swap 1 4-foul player for another. Mann 10 points, 7 boards.
This is a tough lineup to try to find any scoring out of for Stony Brook right now. If I'm Georgia, I'm keying in on Warney all day. He's the only guy offensively that can really hurt you right now. Look how they're packing in. They've got 2 guys defending Warney because the other guys just aren't any type of outside threat.
Gaines in, Mann out.
Good to see Kenny Gaines getting some of his wind back. This morning at shoot-around, I don't know if it was just because it was a little bit cold or not, but he was the only one with a sweatshirt. It felt like a guy that was sick trying to sweat out some of the illness.
He's had a variety of ailments over the last month, costing 3 weeks of preseason practice. Burnett takes a long three-pointer. Gino ahead to Gaines, and Gaines slams it home.
If that's what 6 legs look like, I'll take 6 legs all day.
I think he's okay. Largest lead of the night for Georgia as they stretch it out now to 17 after an emphatic jam by Kenny. That dunk being his second basket. 1 of 5 on his 3, so you can tell he still doesn't have has his timing and rhythm back, and that's going to just come with practice time.
Especially with an athletic player like him who's so reliant on his athletic ability and his legs. That's the first thing to go when you get sick is your legs. So when you see a lot of shots that he misses short, that's usually a sign of fatigue.
Warney, 2 cracks at the basket, comes up empty, gains the rebound, foul called. If it's Petrus, it's Warney, and Warney picks up his 3rd. That would have been the 5th on Petrus. What I was going to say about Georgia is until 2 days before the Georgia Tech game, they had not had a full complement of a roster for practice because Thornton missed the first 7 or 8 practices with a sprained ankle, and of course Gaines was out.
And Mark Fox was great about not trying to make any excuses or being accountable for the loss, but you could tell it bothered him. He only had 1 or 2 days to even practice with his full starting 5 prior to Georgia Tech. If Georgia can hang on here, this is a great win. I think this is going to be a good RPI win for them, strength of schedule. Stony Brook is projected to be first in their conference. They're going to be a 20-win team again this year. This is a really talented team. And as we talked about earlier in the segment, Georgia really struggled in November the past couple of years. Now they can get over that mental hurdle, hopefully, that, hey, this is a different year. We're a different team in November.
Secunda picks up his 4th foul. Now 4 Seawolves with 4 fouls. Secunda, Petrus, Mitchell, and McGrew. And so Thornton to the foul line. It's 2 of 5 at the stripe tonight. Georgia 26 of 38. Georgia 68% at the free throw line. Tonight at 9 on SEC Network, join host Dari Nelka and network analysts discussing all the SEC news of the day on SEC Now. Also available on Watch ESPN.
Thornton here at the line has won multiple what I like to call respect awards. He won most inspirational and also an award called The Rock at the postseason banquet. That goes to the Georgia player who presents the best, most stabilizing force on the team. And I would vote him every time if I was a Georgia teammate as well.
Well, he was 2010 Mr. Basketball in the state of Georgia coming out of Westlake High School in Atlanta. But the knee injuries, 3 of them, as you mentioned, have taken away some of his explosiveness, is where he's much more just kind of a physical and brute player. Not to say that he doesn't have some finesse, but he's lost some of that dynamic and some of that explosiveness that he had as a high school player.
And he couldn't have a better attitude about it. You see interviews and you talk with him, and he says, look, this is adversity that's going to help prepare me for life after basketball. Comes from a great family who said his dad was a real inspiration for him as far as handling adversity, and somebody that first-class type guy. And you could tell he's got a great upbringing, the way he's been able to handle these knee injuries and keep going with his career.
Thrower hits the free throws. The Stony Brook ice cold here in the second half.
Georgia doing a good job of taking some time off the clock. Just one of the things Coach Fox talked about in the shoot-around.
Nice shot by Gaines. That's his second three-pointer. Georgia by 21.
Last Friday night versus Georgia Tech, too many times they were trying to drive into the defense without making the opponent work. Move the ball around a few times, then pick your times to go to the basket.
Georgia's outscored Stony Brook 23-9 here in the second half. Seawolves 3 of 23 and 0 for 7 on their threes. Warney inside. Foul going to be called on Jurisic. Georgia with 5 3-pointers tonight. Kenny Gaines getting stronger, has a dunk, and now just the 5th free throw miss for the Seawolves tonight. Now 15 of 20 in the ball game and even 75%. Man, nice layup.
That's a really athletic move. He refused the ball screen and drove to the baseline, tiptoed along that baseline and laid it in.
Man and Gaines both have 12 leading scorers for Georgia. Puriefoy, contact. He'll go to the line. Mayton will be called for the foul. That'll be 4 on Mayton.
See this coming. Marcus Thornton comes out for the screen, but he refuses it, tiptoes that baseline, and lays it up and in.
So the 2 junior star guards, Man and Gaines, have combined for 24 on 6 of 12 shooting, 10 of 14 at the line, 9 boards. But that's going to be the story every night for Georgia in order for them to be successful this season.
And that's the type of balance they need. It doesn't need to be Charles Mann versus everybody else. Get the balance with Frazier making a couple shots for you. Parker's contributed in multiple ways. Jurisic is very consistent for them. And then, of course, Thornton is the rock, as they've awarded him, of the team.
Well, the Rock just snagged another one. That's 8 boards for him. That leads Georgia tonight, along with Jurisic, both with 8 rebounds.
I'd like to see these 2 guys right here in a foot race after the game. Frazier versus Puriefoy.
Frazier launching, rim out. Warney the rebound. Warney's got 11 boards. He's in double figures in both categories. So a double-double for Warney tonight, 12 and 11.
getting really sloppy for Stony Brook. Like you said, getting to be frustrated. And when you can't find answers through your normal offense, you start trying to make things up and do things out of character. And Stony Brook, as a result, is turning the ball over more. Not many assists either.
You know, and Dane, you mentioned you'd like to see Frazier and Puriefoy in a foot race, but what's really impressive about Puriefoy is his dribble speed.
Oh, unbelievable. He can get, I would bet he could get the rebound right here and take it the full length of the court in less than 4 seconds with maybe 3 dribbles.
Kessler on the move, rebound warning. It's another for him, so he's racking up the boards here in this blowout.
Puriefoy is going to hear that and say, man, I can do 4 seconds in my sleep. I can more like 2 seconds.
King, Man, rebound, 8 boards for Man. He's getting close to a double-double himself. Just a big physical guard at 6'5", 215. Such a matchup problem for opposing teams. Foul going to be called on Mitchell, and he's done for the night.
He's so great at drawing contact and not afraid to get in there and get bumped around and hit the floor. He really, it's almost similar to Dwayne Wade. He goes in there, he's falling down all the time, but he knows how to get to that free throw line. And as a result, there's a lot of expectations for Georgia this year. Not a lot of people picking them for the tournament, but when you look at the SEC, you've got Florida, Kentucky, LSU, Arkansas, the favorites. There are a lot of people think there will be a 5th team, either Ole Miss or Georgia. Which one of those are going to step up? I think Mark Fox, to his credit, has done a great job of saying, look, we missed out on the tournament last year. Our strength of schedule hurt us the past couple of years. We're going to go out and schedule tougher this year and not let that be a reason that the committee leaves us out.
Well, Mark Fox confided in us at the shoot-around that he was told this summer that they missed the NCAA tournament by 1 win. And the schedule was not kind to them in this regard from an SEC standpoint. Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida played all 3 of those teams on the road. For the first time ever, Georgia didn't have those 3 teams playing here in the Stegman Coliseum last season. They'll get them all here at home this year. As you see, Georgia playing in their 4th ever NIT season tip-off. 12 opponents reached the NCAA or NIT last year, and that's the improvement in the schedule. It includes a game on New Year's Eve afternoon at Kansas State. Very special for him. He's from Kansas, Mark is, and he was an assistant coach for 7 years with the Wildcats.
A lot of tough games. They'll have Gonzaga coming up as part of this tournament, probably Minnesota or St. John's possibly, even Colorado. Tad Boyle doing a great job out there. Gave my former coach Bruce Pearl a tough night. Auburn Tigers will bounce back and learn from it, but Colorado being on this schedule is going to be a game to watch versus Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia lost to Colorado. That was one of their big road losses last year in the non-conference, and they will host Colorado here December 7th on SEC Network.
Well, and as we talked to Coach Fox, he felt like it's really going to be a collective effort from the league. They're not the only team that feels like they've been let down by not having the strength of schedule, so it's almost been a mindset of, hey, we're all going to schedule tougher so that when league play comes, we're going to be playing against each other and helping our resumes. And I think a big part of that is there's not as much turnover in the league this year. You got guys like Coach Fox who have been around for a few years now and feel brave enough, for lack of a better word, to schedule tougher opponents because they feel better about their roster.
King with the basket. Approaching the 4-minute mark. Georgia in the midst of a stretch of 5 games in the next 11 days. SEC women's basketball
here, but even in a loss, talk about Stony Brook and their program, what Coach Peichel has done. This is a guy that took over the program 10 years ago. It wasn't just in trouble on the court. It was in trouble off the court. They had penalties and from the APR situation, they're on probation for academics. They now have a perfect APR. They're graduating guys left and right. He's sent 9 guys over to Europe to play professionally. And what they built, they got a 4,000-seat arena that was jam-packed and sold out the other night. He's done an amazing job with this program, and that's why they're projected to win their entire conference.
And they'll be back in the city on Friday night playing at Hofstra as King hits the three-pointer.
Even though the game has gotten out of hand, for guys like King and other players for Stony Brook, these are important minutes for them to get extra reps, get a little bit of confidence, if he can make a couple buckets, that might help you into the next matchup.
Parker got his man in the air, missed the shot. Rebound, here come the Seawolves. Puriefoy trips by Man. Man picks up his 4th personal foul. Take a look at the Stony Brook Seawolves. If you're not familiar with Stony Brook, began Division I play in 1994. 20-plus wins for the last 5 seasons. 3 America East championships, and just opened their brand new 4,000-seat arena on Friday night. Packed it out, the Island Federal Credit Union Arena, as they defeated Columbia 57-56. Steve Peichel, assistant under Jim Calhoun at UConn, named the Stony Brook head coach in 05, and they led them to 4 20-plus win seasons, 3-time America East Coach of the Year. You're right, he called it an extreme makeover.
And what a pleasant, great guy to talk to. Just an old ball coach, but he gets it. He's so passionate about what they built in Stony Brook. He says the AD, the president, everyone is so involved. The baseball team got the university on the map this past summer, and a lot of great things happened up there. 24,000 plus in enrollment.
Puriefoy, by the way, with his free throws, has tied his career high of 24. We thought with that 21-point first half, we thought he might have a shot to be the leading scorer here in the NIT season tip-off. 31, the number he had to reach, but not going to get there, it looks like, with 2:34 to play.
Just off the mark, hadn't been able to get in that rhythm in the second half. Watching Warney work down low, I think other opponents, even though they're not going to face a lot of Georgia-like teams in their conference, Warney's going to have to learn to move his feet a little bit better to get better post position instead of just out-muscling guys. What we didn't get to see much of tonight was Warney's passing ability. The coaches rave about his ability to pass out of double teams, which is something rare for big men, especially at his size.
He has only 1 assist tonight, but he does have 14 rebounds. Puriefoy, wraparound pass to Warney. Good ball movement right there, and King hits the 3. King has now hit a couple of 3-pointers.
King, even though, look, your team's getting blown out, but I've been there before where you're playing the garbage minutes, but you make a couple shots, you don't feel good about the loss, but in a team that was looking forward to facing the Georgia Bulldogs, and they certainly won't this year either.
Well, to their credit, they put themselves in the NCAA tournament conversation down the stretch, even though they had an abysmal month of November. They were swept in 3 games in the Charleston Classic to start the season. And that, in a large part, was because they were learning how to play without Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who was a lottery pick.
It's amazing. Nobody has lost more early entry draft picks outside of Kentucky than Georgia. And so Coach Fox said this is the most returnees that he's had since they went to the tournament in 2011.
KCP, Trey Tompkins, Travis Leslie, all left early for the National Basketball Association.
Georgia continuing to fight over the top of those screens on Puriefoy. He was able to draw the foul that time, but good discipline, great adjustment by Mark Fox. The zone and fighting over the top of those screens has been the difference in this ballgame.
Upcoming Georgia schedule next up on Friday night. We've got Troy as Puriefoy is back at the line, a chance to give himself a new career high, which he does, 25 now for Puriefoy. Georgia, Troy, that's SEC Network Plus, Florida Atlantic on Sunday, and then Gonzaga, either Minnesota or St. John's, part of the NIT season tip-off on ESPN2 or U.
Well, you want opportunities to get quality wins to have on your resume and get over that hump into the NCAA tournament. You can't complain about opportunities when you see that schedule.
Final minute. Georgia going to pick up their first win of the season. Win their 9th consecutive home opener.
I know Mark Fox and his staff wish this game could have come before the Georgia Tech game, but with scheduling issues, both those teams had to play in the opener, which was a real shame because the Georgia Tech rivalry is a great one, but not enough people really paying attention to it with it being on a Friday night in the season opener. But one team had to lose, one had to win, and unfortunately for Mark Fox, his crew fell short.
And Puriefoy fouls out. 26 points for Carson Trey Puriefoy. Second leading scorer in the tip-off marathon behind James Sinclair of the Catamounts of Western Kentucky, who had 31.
And he passes Angel Rodriguez, who made a name for himself this past week with the way he took over that game versus Florida. You talk about clutch shots and just flat out making plays. He did it.
Mann with 14 points.
The crowd distracted Mann on that free throw. They were trying to heckle Puriefoy walking to the bench, and they shouted at Mann right as he was releasing the ball. That student section's got to be smarter. Mark Fox is going to have to get on them. They better not do that in the big conference game.
15 for Mann. He's Georgia's leading scorer tonight. Also has 8 boards. Winding things down here at Stegman Coliseum. SEC now coming up in just a few seconds. Mann bumped in the back by Secunda, and he fouls out with 3 points.
He's unbelievable at drawing fouls. He knows how to. And with that body, he's strong, but he's also wiry and lanky. So every time he gets touched, he knows how to make it look like he has just been shoved completely and hard to the ground.
5 Bulldogs in double figures tonight. Mann leading the way. In addition to Mann's 15, Gaines 13, Jurisic, Mayton, and Thornton. Well, Jurisic and Mayton with 11 and Thornton with 10. And Thornton close to a double-double. Going to come up, or at least he's got a chance. He's got 1 rebound to go. He's 10 and 9. Mann is 15 and 9.
It's
Jurisic 11 and 8.
And that's what scores do, what Charles Mann has done here. To be able, he's got an opportunity to have 17 points off 6 field goal attempts. That's something special that I don't know if there's anybody else in the league that can do what Charles Mann does as far as getting to the strike.
Fourth free throw miss for Mann. 47 free throw attempts for Georgia tonight as Mark Fox sends in the reserves.
Well-deserved applause for the Georgia starters there. They played hard, and I think with Gaines, he was able to log some extra minutes, especially with that zone. Doesn't require as much fighting through screens, and so good to see him back in action and feeling at least a little bit better.
So Mann finished with 16 points and 9 rebounds. And Georgia with a fresh reserve 5 on the floor for the final half minute. Braley with the three-pointer. Eccles, walk on for first 3 years. Scholarship for his senior season. Langura. And Georgia has finished this one off. 80-70 the final. Bulldogs now 1-0, 1-1 on the season, 1-0 at home.